Hello and welcome to Prime Ventures podcast. Today, we will talk about the exciting and fast evolving field of gaming and Web3 gaming. Our guests today are Kashyap Reddy and Keerti Singh, co-founders of HitWicket, which is globally the largest cricket strategy game. So I'm really excited to have Keerti and Kashyap with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shripati. Very happy to be part of the podcast. And yes, gaming is one of the most exciting things happening around. So would love to chat about it.
Hey, Shripati, thanks for having us over.
So wonderful. So without any further ado, just to give a little bit of background to our listeners, what is HitWicket?
All right. So HitWicket is a cricket strategy game. Now, when you think about cricket, like there's so many billions of people who watch cricket. And every time, if you look at the conversations, what they talk about, like who is going to bowl next, is this kind of a bowler, who should be the captain. Cricket is a game of strategy. And we wanted to build a game that will capture the imagination of the spectator. People are watching cricket, that how can they experience this emotion inside a game? And that's why we built HitWicket as a game where you are the owner, coach, and captain of a virtual cricket team, where in this virtual world, you are a cricket team owner and you're competing with other users from across the globe in this game of strategy. That's how we had envisioned our product.
So it's a mobile game, right? It's a player played on your mobile, and I go ahead and create my own team and compete. But what kind of when you say it's a strategy game, what exactly do you mean, and how is it different than and what is a non-strategy game? I guess in the same genre.
Okay, can define what's a non-strategy game would be something where you are reliant on your hand-eye coordination and your reflexes, where you swipe and hit, right? It tends to be much more appealing towards a younger audience. A game of strategy would be where you are thinking, you're making decisions on the go, right? It's like a game of poker, right? At every step of the way, you are computing what all is happening in the field and then making decisions in real time. For example, in our game, we have various characters inside the game, and depending on various match situations, they perform in different ways. The great thing is, since we are not tied to real world cricket, it's a completely virtual world. You are the main commander where you have all the power in the world to make a difference.
So would the player also then, well, in cricket, in real cricket, players kind of become better over time, right? Or they might actually start taking strike, and then after some time, and they're used to the conditions, they'll start playing better, etc. Do any of those things also are they part of HitWicket?
Yes. So as you keep playing, you have an opportunity to evolve your players so that they get better at certain positions, they get better at their core skill, or you can even turn them into all-rounders. So the great thing is it gives you the power to do everything because it's a virtual world. You control every aspect of the gameplay.
Okay. So I think that clarifies the strategy part of things. But tell us like how you got into gaming in the first place, and a little bit of the backstory here to set the context.
All right. So ever since I was 10 years old, I had a quirky hobby of designing board games. So my school notebooks used to be full of board games that I used to draw. And that was always been the understanding the motivation of the user, what makes something fun to play, has always been something that's very intriguing to me. Even when people would pay, I would try to devise ways as to how to make it more fun, right? And after I grew up more, then I started playing a lot of online games. There was one football strategy game, which was the biggest one in the world at that point of time, where I got really hooked on to, and I became the #1 player from India in that game. And and then that's where the idea kind of was ingrained in me that, okay, cricket is even more of a game of strategy. Why don't we build a game of strategy for cricket, and particularly with the percolance of IPL, people from across the socio-economic strata are now familiar with the concept of owning a cricket team and competing in the league, player options. What if we could capture all this inside the game, how amazing it can be? And that's kind of really got us motivated to build HitWicket.
One of the other core pillars of building HitWicket was that if you look at cricket in the real world, the kind of TG that it attracts, right? From a young kid to somebody who's an old person, from women to men, it's got that mass appeal which resonates across everybody. And that is something that we wanted to capture in HitWicket, that even the users of mobile game of HitWicket should be that widespread. And that's a very conscious decision in the design making, where we try to make the game very accessible. Anybody can play. It doesn't require any hand-eye coordination, which makes it very targeted to a male audience. Even the characters in the game have women characters. If you see IPL, you have Neeta Ambani, Preeti Zinta, a lot of female who are actually very actively associated with the sport. So yeah, that was one missing part in the cricket gaming ecosystem, where the games were still about male cricket teams. And we wanted that, it is inclusive of everybody.
And I think it's going to further improve with the Indian women's cricket team performing so well. They just won the Asia Cup and so forth. I will just have more heroes or heroines, I guess, from the cricket on the women's side as well. So I completely agree with you. It's a game with universal appeal. So why is this? If I take a step back, why is this an exciting time for gaming in general, or is it?
So I think it's a phenomenal time and space to be in, because you see the percolance of the entertainment industry altogether. I look at gaming as part of the wider media and entertainment industry. And if you look at the most successful startup in the world right now, TikTok, is about entertainment, right? We're reaching a space in the economy of the world where more people are investing in experiences, right? There are a lot of places where people are saving their time and money or making more money. And now it's like, what do I do with all these resources, right? They want ways to experience a better way. Either they're traveling or they're spending it on other forms of entertainment. So that's why mobile gaming has become such a massive industry. And 15 years back, it didn't even exist, right? And I think I would look at the PC and console gaming as a completely different market to mobile gaming, simply because the target audience is so different. And that's why even the content and all is designed with bit-sized 3-minute sessions, so that anybody, people of all ages, like 60-year-olds playing the game and 10-year-olds playing the game, right? And coming closer to India, yes, we are an entertainment hungry market. If you look at our movie industry, it's like we've always been right up there, right? India has been a developing market in so many sectors. When it comes to entertainment, our expectations are always world class, right? And if you are able to crack this market, I think it's something going to be something very magical and phenomenal.
And the kind of smartphone penetration that has happened in the last few years, coupled with internet and the microtransaction facility, I think that has really fueled the gaming ecosystem, where now it is accessible to a person in a tier 3 town as well. So it's no longer a niche industry catering to tier 1 audience. It has penetrated to the grassroots levels. And with UPI, it is helping you enhance your experience even by paying a small amount. So I think all these three combinations, smartphone, internet, UPI, they are creating that fantastic ecosystem where user has complete choice. What kind of games he wants to play, when he wants to play, how deeper he wants to immerse in the game.
Yeah, and I feel that there are maybe a couple of more aspects of gaming which makes it such a unique form of entertainment, in the sense that, one, it is very active, right? The user is involved in the game. It's not like watching a movie, watching Netflix for that matter, right? Where you're just sitting back. It's a lean-in experience for the gaming part, much more engaging. And the second piece, increasingly, and I would like your opinion on this, is the social element of it. Right, I think gamers are not just in the game to get entertained, but it's also a forum and a community where they are really connecting with other users, isn't that?
Yeah, I think Keerti would testify that, the social aspect of it actually got her hooked on to gaming in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear from you, Kirti.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of times, you see people around you playing a certain game and they're talking about it, and it's kind of a FOMO now. So if everybody is talking about PUBG, I remember that when I first started playing PUBG, it was actually a bit difficult to learn the game. But I ended up giving it 6 to 7 tries just because I knew I had to play the game to be able to talk to friends about it. So that way, I think that is one part. And the second part is that, yes, in gaming, you end up interacting with people whom you otherwise wouldn't. So it kind of nurtures that online communication where there is a common topic. So, if somebody is playing a certain game, they have something to talk about that game. There's a bit of like mindedness, and it's very easy to connect as well. So
Yeah,
that is definitely there. And yeah, gaming is, I would say it's so much interactive where you control your journey basically.
So if you ask some of the kids today, they would say their social network is actually Fortnite, right? And that's how people get together and they plan their stuff. Sometimes they're not even playing the game, they're just interacting with each other inside a game. And they're attending music concerts inside a game. And this is something that is like a completely mind-boggling as to how people are using games as a platform.
that's fascinating. So I think that, yeah, it's much more. So gaming is much more than just entertainment. And gaming really is, as you correctly said, the place where gamers hang out. I mean, it's a place to where you have your own identity and so forth. So it just goes much beyond what just a passive entertainment might be. But yet, I think that it is not. But making a successful game is not that easy. So what goes into creating a successful game is probably a pertinent question to ask at this point of time. And perhaps how long you can tell us what is the reach and spread of HitWicket itself.
Correct. So today we have 3 million downloads across 70 plus countries. And the beauty of the product is we have people who are 10 years old and 60-year-olds who are playing our game. And there are very few products in the world which have such a diverse spread of age groups, right? And the biggest challenge with game is it requires both your left brain and your right brain, where your creativity and technology are working together seamlessly to craft a mind-blowing experience to a user. Right? In a game, you're not actually solving a problem, you're trying to give a user an experience. And there's never a clear answer as to what you need to build. Right? We do a lot of data science to understand what is working, what is resonating with the user, but a lot of it ends up being intuition and doing emotional design to figure out what is the right direction to build the product. And that's why if you see, even in the last 10-15 years, although so much of money has gone into building games, they've been those 20-30 products which have really nailed it. And those guys have been literally at the top of the market for more than 10 years, right? Some of the top grossing games have been at the top of the charts for more than 10 years. So although more games are getting built, it's the people who managed to crack the market. They've literally stayed on top for like really a long time. And that tells you both about the lasting effect and the difficulty of building gaming products.
It is. I love the way you said it, that it is not a problem you're solving, but building an experience, and that's why it makes it like a fuzzy problem space, right? Because gamers and human beings in general are complex, and actually going into something deeper, such as an experience, is a much harder thing to crack. So does it? So what leads to this longevity of games? Because then by that point which you made, Kashyap, gaming becomes a hit-driven business, right? I mean, you make one game and it becomes a hit, and then these gaming franchises which we see over which last decades. What is the secret of those things? When you think about Call of Duty or Doom or World of Warcraft, any of those things which just last number 17, right? Of Grand Theft Auto coming out and so forth.
Right. I think there are two major components. One is the brand. And once people get hooked onto it, gamers tend to stay loyal to a brand. Once they get hooked on, they see, so they are open to trying out newer versions of what the brand is releasing. And the second important thing is the market. A great example here is FIFA. Been running for more than 20 years as a franchise, and year on year, you only see it increasing. And what they have done is football market, the football fan is what they are betting on. So technology has evolved, PC game became mobile game and console game, etc. But the market for FIFA has only gotten bigger and bigger. And the way the brand has been able to capture the user is because they're betting on the market, right? So the longevity is, as long as football is popular, there will be a market for FIFA, and their goal is to be the number one player for football. And that's how even we are visualizing how it needs to be done. Because yes, building a game from scratch, now it's only going to get harder because the user has already played a game as good as a Clash Royale or a PUBG. So any new game they try, they expect the quality standard to be this much, right? It's not like, okay, it's a new game, I'll give it a more leeway. No, they're like, everybody values their time. They're like, I'm going to spend my time on a product that gives me the best possible experience. 10 years back, anybody could make a game and people would give it a shot. Now the standards are so high. Now it's like 2D to 3D animations, and the performance on the mobile, how realistic it looks, how exciting it feels and all. It's like just way too hard to build that product. And that's why it takes a while to polish it to the experience that a user wants.
So how do you think about the Indian gaming? And just moving the lens to India, both from the Indian gamer, if the Indian gamer behavior is different than any global gamer, that's one question. And a related question is that how should the Indian game developers who want to get in and start creating games think about their opportunity?
Right. So a lot of ways in which we visualize business, when we look at the Indian market, I think everyone's talking about there's an India market and there's a Bharat market. And that's something even we have seen from our own data, that there is a certain segment of users who have much more in common with a UK or an Australian or a US user. That would be your Indian urban audience. And then you have the Bharat user who behave completely differently, right? And we can, if you look at our data in terms of how quickly they convert into paying users or how much time they spend, it's very easy to segment these users, right? Because the behavior is so clear-cut siloed. Some set of users, what they spend on inside the game also tells you, like the urban audience wants to spend money in order to progress faster, right? And the rural audience wants to spend money to play more, right? That's a very clear-cut difference where the business model should be able to accommodate both set of users and engage them at the same time.
Makes sense.
I think there's also an aspirational element in the Indian gamers where people don't mind spending for entertainment. I'm like just shifting away a bit from gaming. I'll give you an interesting story. So when I was working in Indian Oil, I was in Jodhpur, and a lot of these truck drivers used to change their hello tunes every 20 days. Now they are paying for that entertainment and even paying 100 rupees for a person whose monthly income itself is 15,000. It's a good portion, and it's not even something that he is listening, but he wants others to know that, he's not your regular guy. He's put something which defines him. And that I think is very interesting, where even if not for a bigger purchase, people in India also have the propensity to make small purchases.
That's a fascinating example, because I think it comes back to the identity piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's part of your identity, and the gamer identity, where you might be the top, national or local PUBG player or a HitWicket player or a HitWicket team owner is a matter of pride. It's a matter of identity. So let me shift gears a little bit here and go towards talk about Web3. there is so much talk about Web3 and gaming, and it's kind of like hard to discern a signal from noise. So maybe I'll ask you, Kashyap, to first, what is Web3 gaming in your worldview?
Got it. I think we'll have to bifurcate, like there's some part which is a technology piece and the second part which is a use case piece. The technology on the Web3 with blockchains and decentralization and all those things, yes, they're revolutionary technologies. I mean, it's going to have a long-lasting impact going forward, how technology itself evolves. But the use case part is particularly interesting because it's an evolutionary change, which is what makes it inevitable, right? The way games used to be paid downloads, paid to download and play, they moved to free to play, right? I see a similar sort of a shift when it comes to Web3 gaming, right? In the sense that earlier on, people think of it like a PvE game where user is playing against the computer, right? Previously, the business model was user used to pay the game developer. Now the market has evolved to PvP where users are playing against each other. Similarly, I believe business models will turn to a PvP model where there are marketplaces where users are able to trade with each other, right? So across the game, across the world, if we see, when you talk about Web3, it's essentially the marketplace that is the main use case that has led to user engagement, user getting immersed into the product, right? Which was previously not possible without the advent of blockchain technology, right? That's where Web3 has opened up another avenue for gaming itself, and one that I think will actually enhance both engagement and monetization. And that's a great, interesting future to look forward to.
Yeah, so Axie Infinity, of course, is a pioneer in Web3 games, right? But when I think of Axie Infinity, you have the assets which develop and can become, and you grow the Axies. In the case of Axie Infinity, in your case, it would be, I guess, the players which become better, have more powers, have more capabilities, and then you can trade them. But there's also this aspect of tokens, where in the case of Axie, the equivalent example would be in-game tokens, which are SLPs. And how should a developer think about it? Do you think all Web2 games will become Web3? And what would an evolution or transition from Web2 to Web3 look like?
Got it. So when we say Web3, it's essentially going to be the layers of a marketplace, a token, be it the governance token or the using tokens. Right now, not all Web2 games will migrate to Web3. I'm sure of it. They're going to be massive games built only on Web2. And most games are actually not suited for this migration because the games themselves don't need the marketplace or the tokens in order to be a complete loop. Right? They probably remain just as fun being on Web2. Right? But going forward, if there may be certain games where Web3 actually enhances the experience, I think that's a key part that developers need to think about is, are we adding a Web2 layer only for monetization or does it enhance the game, right? Whenever we add Web3 only for monetization, there's a tendency of them losing the fun part as a trade-off for monetization, and that usually does not lead to good results on the long term, right? So the Web3 layer, we should take a strong look at it. How does it enhance the game, make it more fun for the user? And that, as a side effect, leads to greater monetization, opening up different business models.
One of the challenges, at least I see, is the fluctuating price of tokens in that case, right? When you actually introduce tokens, it's a free market once you have introduced tokens, on-chain tokens, and the prices can fluctuate. So when and how do you think it makes sense to for the game to introduce tokens, in your opinion?
I think one very important aspect is stability, right? The game needs to have a significant user base before tokens can be in a place where they are stable, right? The lesser the number of users you have holding the token and the more concentration of tokens in single entities, it tends to be a higher fluctuation. So having that scale, the very large number of users holding that token automatically gives a sense of stability to that token itself. right? So that's one aspect. And second thing is that the moment you have so many users at the base, that means without a token, that means the game is already certainly fun to play, right? These are users who are playing even without the token, right? So that automatically brings a level of confidence of users that, okay, yeah, this game can be played even though there are no tokens. And that makes it easier to design a token system which is not used as an incentive. I think the problem becomes when a token is used as an incentive to get a user to play rather than reward the user for already playing the game.
Yeah, I think that the thing which I believe game developers need to be just very cognizant of is that it's somewhat irreversible, the process of introducing a token, and then once the users have it and it starts trading and so on and so forth, a lot of thought has to go in on whether it makes sense in the first place to have a freely tradable token for a game. And the second point which you are making, Kashyap, here, which if I were to paraphrase, is that you have to focus on actually creating a very sticky, compelling game experience in the game loop for the user, where you're attracting the user, where the users have that right balance of making progress yet finding it challenging, and which really gets them to be engaged and provides a high quality entertainment experience for them. And then the play to earn, which is what we hear Web3 being synonymous with, can be an added layer on top of it, or something which is a a catalyst to make more users have a better experience and attract more users. But starting out with just making play to earn, where the motivation is to come and earn, sort of misses the main point of a game, which is the gameplay.
Right, exactly. And
so I think that we're sort of like running up towards on time here. So let me ask you that, what would be your advice to a new entrepreneur right now who's starting out in gaming? And from all your years of experience in HitWicket, to both of you, what would you advise the do's and don'ts to create a successful game?
okay. I think the most important aspect is make the game fun. And we should not think about anything in terms of monetization or Web3 or anything of that sort until the core gameplay is fun. Right. And that is the part that requires like a lot of iterations. When I'm say iteration, I'm talking about I have 40 to 50 iterations of game prototypes in order to continuously play until the moment you see the people in your team getting hooked onto it. Keep iterating. Right? It's too expensive to build a full game and launch it and then hear the bad news from users. So if it's a game, people in your team will try it out. So it needs to be good enough for them to get hooked. And that's how we should take that before you even go to the next step of monetization and retention.
And I think it's very important to understand the game from a user perspective, because a lot of time it's like, okay, I'm playing games, I like games, so I will make games. But that is very different from, what people will engage with. And that's where we need to be very mindful that we create something that is very user centric, because at the end of the day, they are the masses who are going to play the game. So shouldn't be chained by your own thought process or your own liking, and make sure that it is open and it's appealing to a wider TG. That way, even the kind of data that you get is big enough for you to make decisions, to understand and get meaningful insights out of it.
Wonderful. Well, let me. How is your own rating in HitWicket?
Yeah, so we are actually one of the highest rated games in India on both Play Store and App Store. And yeah, it was a bit of a special moment when we were even higher rated than Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. That was a testimony that we are making a world-class product from India, which is resonating both with Indian audience and international audience.
Well, congratulations on that, Keerti and Kashyap. It's terrific having you on the podcast, and all the best with HitWicket. I mean, cricket is in the air. We have the T20 World Cup starting imminently, and I'm sure that that will we have a good days ahead for HitWicket. Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you,
for having us.
Shripati. Lovely chatting with you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Dear listeners, thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast app for free, and you'll be the first one to know when new episodes are available. Just search for Prime Venture Partners Podcast in Apple Podcast, Spotify, Castbox, or however you get your podcasts. Then hit subscribe. And if you have enjoyed the show, we would be really grateful if you leave us a review on Apple Podcast. To read the full transcript, find the link in the show notes.